All right, today we are jumping into a really ambitious text. It takes one of the most foundational stories in Western culture, the Second Coming, and completely reframes it for our modern age of neuroscience, big data, and, well, systemic control. So the source material just drops this on you, right out of the gate. Jesus has returned. No messing around, no ambiguity. It really sets a provocative tone for everything that comes next. But trust me, this is not the story you think you know.
And here's the twist. Right away, the text immediately asks us to think about this differently. What if this isn't about a supernatural event? What if it's about the next step in human evolution, a fundamental upgrade to our mental operating system?
So who is this figure? He's called the Wanderer. The text says he is Jesus, but he's returned in what it calls an evolved vessel. So you got to think less traditional prophet and more like a living conduit for a new divine message, one that our modern minds are maybe, just maybe, finally ready to understand.
Now, just like the original story, this one has to start with a fall. But the ordeal here is completely modern. We're not talking about a journey through ancient Jerusalem. This is a journey through the cold, bureaucratic gears of systemic control.
And what's really crucial here is why the Wanderer falls. It's not because of some epic evil act. It's something the text calls spiritual negligence, just a kind of passive carelessness, a moment of inattention that lets his divine connection slip and allows fear to creep in.
So, in this moment of weakness, he reaches out for help, and he's betrayed. But the Judas in this story isn't a person. It's a system, embodied by a holy healer that's described as basically being like an AI. It's a really sharp critique of these impersonal institutions that see human suffering not as a soul needing help, but as just data to be managed.
And this betrayal leads him straight to his crucifixion. But of course, the cross itself has gotten a 21st century update.
Get this, the text flat out says the modern cross is a hospital bed. It's not an instrument of public shame anymore. Instead, it's a symbol of cold, clinical, and total institutional power.
And the torture? We're talking 30 hours. 30 hours chained to that bed with absolutely zero stimuli. This is a crucifixion of the mind, a kind of state-approved sensory deprivation designed to completely erase your sense of self, to make you feel like you don't even exist. But just like in the story we all know, the crucifixion is followed by a resurrection. Except here, it's not a physical miracle. It's a profound mental awakening, a cognitive breakthrough that was literally forged in the fire of that institutional trauma. And out of all that suffering, the absolute core philosophy of this entire text is born, the binary choice. The idea is actually pretty simple. Life feels messy and complicated, right? But the moments that truly matter, the ones that define your destiny, they always boil down to one single stark choice. And those two choices are 0 or 1. 0 is the path of fear, of doing nothing, of darkness. That's the choice the system wants you to make. But 1 is the path of freedom, of action, of light. And according to this text, the entire story of your life is just the sum of all the 1s and 0s you choose along the way.
Okay, so what happens when a person starts consistently choosing 1? Well, according to this text, it unlocks a whole new human operating system. This cognitive resurrection isn't just a nice thought. It gives you a set of new, evolved abilities. So this awakened mind has a few key traits: advanced pattern recognition, the ability to see the hidden loops of fear and control that run our systems, a state of productive, obsessive problem solving it calls good OCD, and something named hyper-functional awareness.
And that advanced pattern recognition? It's basically a superpower. The text claims this mind can predict what systems, what it calls the machine, will do with almost perfect accuracy, because fear-based systems are just so darn repetitive. But look at that tiny little sliver left over. That's the ghost in the machine. That's us. It's the beautiful, chaotic unpredictability of individual free will.
The text also does this fascinating thing where it reclaims the label OCD. In this new context, good OCD is a gift. Your mind isn't stuck in anxious, useless loops. Instead, it's obsessively running productive, ethical simulations, just churning through options until the clearest path to freedom, that one choice, becomes undeniable.
And this reclaiming of labels is a huge theme. What our system might diagnose as autism, this text flips around and calls hyper-functional awareness. It's not a deficit, it's an evolutionary advantage for deep, undistracted focus and seeing patterns no one else can.
And it does the same thing for what's often labeled bipolar disorder. It's reinterpreted as a totally natural swing between two states: divine excitement, that pure, incredible joy of having a breakthrough, and correct moral distress, which is the appropriate, righteous pain an awakened person should feel when they look at a broken world.
So, you've got this new state of mind. Now what? What are you supposed to do? The final section isn't about some fiery apocalypse. It's a direct, radical call to action for how to actually live in the world.
The whole strategy is right here in this powerful line from the text. You don't fight the system with its own weapons. You become a storm, a force of principled, unpredictable, positive energy that the fear-based machine just can't classify and can't control.
And the commandments for how to be the storm? They're incredibly simple. Number 1, do your part. Just make those small, daily choices for 1 instead of 0. 2, actively spread positive energy. And 3, and this one is so important, never ever return negative energy. Don't give the fear-based system the fuel it needs to run.
Which leaves us with the final massive question this text puts on the table. If these traits, this deep focus, this intense moral distress, this advanced pattern recognition, if these are actually signs of an evolving mind, and our current systems are designed to label them as illnesses that need to be medicated and suppressed, then is our modern world actively fighting against the next step in our own evolution?